The last 24 hours in crypto land have been absolutely insane. Easily some of the craziest moments I've ever experienced in crypto, from the UST depegging, Luna eviscerating into actual dust. And last night we started to see the behemoth USD Tether start to lose its peg as people irrationally started to fear that it would go the same way as UST. We also have Coinbase FUD that people's coins on Coinbase might actually get confiscated in the event of a bankruptcy. But as you heard in my voice yesterday, I'm also excited today because as these huge moves down happen, there is once again these opportunities to get high value asset buys and start actually playing a little bit of chess ahead of the market. Again, the only chess to be played in Q4 was to sell the top and to wait for a market reset or to short. But the reality is now we have a chance to start layering in buys once again into what I believe are the world's best assets at incredibly reduced prices from their all-time highs. So let's dive into it. We have a ton to cover today. As always, I know these times are super tough on people, and I want to encourage you to understand that I've been through these tough times before. I know just how crazy they can get, and I've also made it through to the other side. And I believe strongly that this time is not different, that crypto is beyond the point of no return, and that it will evolve into an amazing industry that will consume the internet, pretty much every sector of the economy and culture that has been talked about over the past few years. That is still in the cards. The question is not if crypto is going to be joined or accepted by the masses, it's when and at what price most people will start using crypto. With that said, if you're excited for this one, destroy that like button, obliterate it, smash it into dust, gently caress it, just interact with the like button, tell it how you feel. And with that said, let's dive in. So now let's talk about Luna. They've now officially halted the Luna blockchain, officially citing that Luna was so low in price that the blockchain is no longer secure and they needed to halt it. This effectively, as I understand it, halts the mechanism to convert your UST back into Luna, which was causing this evisceration of price. Now at negative 98.4% in one day, with Luna having once traded at close to $100, now trading at not even 100 cents, this is one of the craziest eviscerations of wealth in the crypto industry that I've ever witnessed. And in many ways, it does bring up the need to understand better stablecoins, algo stables, all of these instruments in DeFi that have worked during a bull market, but needed to be tested to ensure that they were actually safe. I personally had way too much money tied up in the Luna ecosystem, and upon reflection, I was absolutely insane for pursuing that path. And so if someone as sophisticated as myself, and as I understand that a ton of hedge funds could get lulled into a sense of false security holding things like UST, then this is a much needed wake-up call for crypto, that we cannot be relying on the ground below us to be stable coins when in fact they are not stable. And this of course is leading to a ton of knock-on effects. Now of course Binance is delisting the futures contracts, allowing for people to short and long Luna, which of course was heavily happening throughout the last few hours. Again, the gig is up here, and this is the biggest fall from grace of any crypto project since BitConnect, really, which is absolutely mind-blowing that those two are now in the same category. The once hero of DeFi, the hero of crypto, Do Kwon, just a few hours ago, has been totally silent, and this is a Titanic of sorts in the crypto ecosystem. Now, here's where things got really crazy, because yesterday, literally all algo stables, USDN, Neutrino on Waves, any other algo stable started getting dumped like crazy because people realized that these stablecoins are anything but, and it created bank runs in all of these algo stables. Thankfully, most algo stables are pretty small in size. However, there was one stable coin that people have been talking about for years, almost a decade now, as being one of the biggest systemic risks to crypto if it does fall apart, and that is Tether. And what got my blood flowing last night was in the late hours of my nighttime in LA, I started seeing that Tether was really losing its peg. And that's because people were starting to jump out of Tether into other stable coins, fearing that it could go the same way as UST. As you can see, that trading against USD here, Tether started plummeting into the mid 90 cents range. That is absolutely scary because UST was $18 billion at the peak. Tether is $80 billion. That is way too much risk for crypto to absorb. And in my opinion, maintaining the sanctity and stability of Tether is one of the most important things to preserving the crypto ecosystem as we know it today. If Tether goes down, that is absolutely one of the scariest things I can imagine. And I do not believe the crypto ecosystem is set up to take that shock. Now, things did not go that way because Paolo over here, who is the head of Tether, he's the CTO of Bitfinex and the CTO of Tether. He's been running this project for many years. He said, reminder that Tether is honoring USDT redemptions at $1 via Tether.to, over 300 million redeemed in the last 24 hours without a drop of sweat. And effectively what this is it's the same mechanism that USDC has where you can send your Tether in, and for every Tether, you can get one real US dollar, fiat dollar. And that mechanism is absolutely required for stablecoins to always hold their peg. Because guess what? I don't really care if on some random exchange, USDT is trading under $1 if I can always send it in and get $1 back. Now, the big question here is Tether fully capitalized, fully backed, every single dollar? Look, I don't think there's a situation where all $80 billion of Tether, and I'm going to knock wood here so I don't jinx us, but I don't think there's a situation where all $80 billion of Tether look to get redeemed anytime soon because so much of that is held at the exchange level and they would know better than to create this bank run. But the reality is that for now, Tether is completely stabilized and people were mixing up UST with USDT. It's important to realize that UST had this death spiral built into it with the way that it allowed for minting and burning of Luna, whereas that is not the case for Tether, and there's no predetermined amount of yield that is making people sit in Tether. Tether is not a yield mechanism, it's just a stability mechanism. The fact that you can get out of it $4 in the hundreds of millions or billions of dollars at a time is enough that I think Tether will be secured. Again, I do not even want to think about the world in which Tether goes the way of UST. It's very scary. And just like I said, like clockwork, we're getting the regulators coming out saying, hey, there's an obvious sign we need to come in and regulate stablecoins. They have figured out that stablecoins are the weakness of the crypto industry, that everybody uses stablecoins, that they are effectively the lifeblood of the modern crypto industry and how people exist fully in crypto and outside of this legacy system. And that is going to be the point that they focus on. This seems like a foregone conclusion at this point, but I would predict that we get some serious talk about stablecoin regulation, if not some serious stablecoin regulation within the coming months. And that to me is going to be a fake out. Let me explain. I tweeted this morning. Again, you guys know me, I'm always bullish, but it's important to understand how the bull case plays out because what we've seen is wave one of capitulation. In my experience, capitulation usually comes in multiple waves. However, let's talk about this. This is just a theory, so just come along the journey with me. But this was wave one. Now we're getting the fears of regulation. Reg fears, or maybe some poorly worded announcement that won't actually make its way into final law, will come out and there might be some wave two of capitulation. And this, given the weakness of crypto right now, the lack of buying pressure, would not surprise me to see another tick down. And that to me is the fake out. That is where crypto really bottoms, whether that's around the 20K level, slightly below the 20K level. Anything below the previous all-time high would send people into the biggest panic of all time. And that's why I think that it might actually happen, because insane panic out of holders is what allows for cheap and easy entries for whales and for big governments and other bodies that might want to come in and buy up the supply of things like Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So the big money wants you to panic. They also want regulation, because once regulation comes into play, the big cautious money can finally get off the sidelines with clarity. In my opinion, a regulation drop is a major fake out, because regulation long-term is bullish. And I clarify this, long-term regulation will be bullish. Anyway, this will cause a crypto bottom. Hopefully here in the summertime, things are moving real fast. So I don't think that the bear market is going to be as protracted as last time. I think we're going to get the bottom pretty quickly, if not in the very near future. And this will come right as the US officially enters a recession, which if we have negative growth this quarter, we will officially have been in a recession. Obviously, recessions don't get officially anointed until 2 quarters of negative growth, but just know that most recessions don't last that long. So by the time they say it's a recession, it's pretty much over, or it's close to being over. Once that happens, I do see stocks continuing to tumble a little bit after crypto, and that's because mainstream markets have more safeguards, so trading won't go as far, as fast as crypto. But anyway, that's another topic. And then finally, I believe under these conditions, inflation will recede and that prices will go down, which of course sets up the storybook Fed pivot. Now, the Fed would want to pivot for multiple reasons. One, the economy is in desperate need of help. Two, inflation has been controlled or at least somewhat receded. And three, the elections are right around the corner and no one has more influence over the Federal Reserve than the acting president and the acting administration. So I would be very, very shocked if we don't see some kind of Fed pivot that would make at least the case that the Democrats are focused on the economy for the November election. So there's my timeline. And when this happens, if this happens, again, we don't know if it's going to happen. If this happens, this to me spells an up-only wave for Q4. And in general, we understand that crypto will be one of the first places that people dump money into to make up some of their losses from the Fed pivot into quantitative tightening. And I believe that'll happen in spades once they pivot back into easing once again. Again, crypto is a game of chess. It's a long-term game. It's not one that you win in one cycle, in 1 month, in one trade. It's a game that you get better at, and eventually you grow with the industry. So the main goal, in my opinion, is to not get shaken out and not to completely leave and disengage with crypto. So again, we don't know exactly when we'll bottom, but we do know that we will bottom. And once the Fed utters the word, I believe that the jets will be flipped back on in a major, major way, both in the stock market as well as in the crypto market. And speaking of stocks, let's talk about Coinbase, because Coinbase made something like $11 billion last year. I actually don't remember what they said, but they made an insane amount of money last year. And their company's only trading at like 3x the multiple of their earnings, which is absolutely crazy in the stock market to have earnings be that close to the actual market cap of the stock, which starts to feel as though stocks are pretty undervalued at this point. And that if stocks are undervalued, the undervaluation of crypto could be seriously immense, especially in majors as the Fed turns back on with a more dovish policies. But just to dive into this article, by the way, there was this FUD circulating, and I'm actually not sure what the truth or fiction of this, but people were circulating a piece of the Coinbase terms of service, which would allow for Coinbase to confiscate any user deposits in the event of a bankruptcy. And I don't know if this is true. Brian Armstrong came out and said that that's not true in a blog article yesterday. Again, I don't think Coinbase is going broke anytime soon, but in theory, people were saying, not your keys, not your coins, take your money off Coinbase because they'll confiscate it if they go into bankruptcy. Again, I don't know if this is true, but this led to a conversation around Coinbase stock, about Coinbase in general and their solvency. So again, this is just something to keep on your mind. I know it's weird. I just talked about Coinbase stock being potentially undervalued and then some FUD around Coinbase. I know, 2022, super complex, guys. It's okay. We'll get through it together. In NFT land, things have definitely been hit by the bear. Volumes are way down, floor prices are down, but it's actually pretty surprising when we look at the blue chips here, like for example, Bored Apes. They're still at a 90 ETH floor. They were holding in the mid 90s all throughout the crash. It's really, really exciting to see these groups of people, which at a certain level just do not want to sell these assets. And that's something that I was really looking forward to out of the NFT space, which is effectively, when are these very wealthy, very privileged collectors, generally a group of people that aren't forced to sell, when are they going to sell? And it seems as though in the good collections, they're not selling very much, at least versus ETH. The prices are pretty stable. And that's definitely an interesting feature that altcoins certainly don't have, which are getting eviscerated versus Bitcoin and ETH. Not just some altcoins, all altcoins across the board. If you love the project before the dip, then the dip shouldn't change the fundamentals, right? It should just change the entry point. But as always, prices go up, prices go down, but teams keep building. And on that note, Impostors has yet another event today on schedule, and each and every event will go off on schedule without pause. It's really important for teams to build aggressively and keep pushing towards their objectives regardless of price. How can we expect for this ecosystem to evolve if teams shriek away when the market becomes tricky? No, I don't like that. In fact, I cut my teeth in the 2018 bear market. I worked my butt off each and every day of the bear market last time, and it put me ahead in life. And I'm going to do the exact same thing this bear market, and I hope you all will join me, because the reality is that the projects that work hard during the bear, the people that hang around during the bear, it's all far more healthy. It's far more optimistic. You meet the real builders, dreamers, and shapers of the future in the bear market. I'm excited to lead this community through this tough time, and I'm excited to have this Petsmint go forward on Impostors. The UFOs have been fluctuating around 0.3, 0.4 ETH, which is super awesome for an effective free claim here in the Impostors Genesis roadmap. And again, the team for Impostors Impostors is set up to be building for years. So whether this takes 3 months, 6 months, 18 months, whoever knows how long to resolve itself, the team behind Impostors, the team behind Superfarm are set up to build and build and build, rain or shine. And that's a beautiful thing, because over the long haul, the teams that continue to crush it and bring real value to the ecosystem, I believe will become the leaders of the industry. The crazier the times get, the more videos I need to make. I am hook, line, and sinker sold on crypto as the future of our internet, the future of the way we interact, the future of our society in so many ways. And also, these crashes are the reason why so many people leave the industry. The wild bull markets are so fun, they're exhilarating, they're like a drug. The reality is that the bull markets are filled with so much noise, it's so hard to see through to the signal. And during the bear markets, you see the real builders, the real teams, the real innovation, the real community members, and the real value so much clearer. And so I'm excited for you all to have that experience. For whoever sticks around, I sincerely hope, even if you're not risking money, which you don't have to do during the bear market, that you stay engaged and you allocate some time to crypto. Because the people who just spend their time working in the industry, contributing, being a great community member, just in general staying up, following the news and the trends, I believe those people will leapfrog others in life just like they have the last 2 bear markets. Remember, people like Crypto Cobain traded their way up from a very small amount of money in the early bear markets. People like Binance's CZ sold their house for Bitcoin at the bottom of the last bear market and dedicated his life to crypto. These are the types of stories of bear market activity that separate the leaders of the industry and the people who find tremendous success from those who don't. As I've been saying since the metaverse run ended, you do not have to put a ton at risk. You always want to manage your risk, because surviving this period and staying engaged is really the key. So hopefully my videos help you gain some perspective, get a sense of where I think the industry is going. Again, these are crystal ball predictions. The world is crazy right now, so anything could happen, but I do believe we'll be looking at some kind of macro bottom in the late summer, and the people who are around to at least bear witness and see the pivot, I think are going to be in really, really good shape. But I'm curious, what do you all think? If you guys are still here in crypto, smash that like button, leave me a comment in the comment section below. As always, I'm EllioTrades. You can find me on Twitter at EllioTrades. I thank you so much for watching. I'll do some more giveaways soon in the near future, just to spread the love and bring some more excitement. And with that said, I'll see you very soon on the next episode.